Hey everybody, Quantum here, and in this video I have what I would think is a pretty exciting matchup. It is Ruby Amethyst versus Emerald Steel, but not in the traditional sense. We're using a damage or self-damage version of Ruby Amethyst, things that utilize the new Hades, the Madame Medusa, etc. And my opponent here is going to be on, I don't know if I'd call it a tempo-oriented version of Emerald Steel, but I guess it sort of is. But it's definitely an interesting variation that he saw have success at a recent tournament he was at, and it basically leverages Emerald Chromacon in order to maintain tempo advantage. So we both went into this match blind. We didn't know what ink pairings we were on or what decks we were using, and I see a Merfolk come in, so I'm like, oh, he's on discard, and I'm like, ah, shoot, I obviously should have inked that friends, so my mistake. This footage is sped up 150%, and you can see that this match is still very long, so yeah, we definitely went through it here. It starts off a little slow, but you're going to see it definitely starts to pick up, and some interesting interactions if you stay tuned in this matchup. Again, you can check out my friend's YouTube channel, which is linked in the description if you want to see his deck list. He does deck profiles just like I do on his decks. Obviously a very good player if you've seen me play against him before. But here you can see he drops double Deceiver. I think he also may have inked one. So I'm like, wow, man, like, yeah, that's pretty good against my deck. You're seeing those Deceivers early. Obviously he ripped a friend, so my fault for not inking that. Seeing the Merfolk, I should have known, yeah, turn 2, of course it's Emerald, it's going to be a Deceiver. They likely have it, they always do. So I lose card advantage there, but that's okay, because you're going to see what this deck can do. It's quite crazy. But here, yeah, my friend is deciding a little bit, what their next play is, and I'm telling him, like, if you didn't rip that Friends, I wanted to sing it with my Fox next turn, which is why I developed things this way. This kind of deck, it's not necessarily a tempo deck, my deck, the Ruby Amethyst deck, but you definitely want to be able to maintain board presence, but you can definitely afford to bounce things back. Going back to set 2, bouncing back those 1-drops and using them for ink is definitely a viable option. So here my opponent inks a strength, right? And here I am thinking like, okay, is the Diablo coming? Is the Prince John coming? But no. I can say this now after the fact, after I went through this grueling, like 30-minute match. He's not on a discard package. I mean, he is. It looks like he is here, right? Merfolk and triple Ursula Deceiver, which is wild. But you're going to see what ends up happening. He looks like he's in a decent spot. I look like I'm suffering a little bit, so this Genie definitely helps with the card draw. We draw into yet another Bell, so I'm going to go ahead and ink that. Quest with the Fox, and I think I take back the Minnie Mouse, which, is probably a mistake. I probably should just Quest with it, but I think my thought process here was I don't want him to triple run those Ursulas into it because I want to use this Minnie Mouse as crab fodder for later. So here on turn 5, he's going to drop a Lawrence for 3, and I think he's only on 3 cards. And again, at this point, I don't know what he's on. I thought he was on discard. I see this Lawrence, and I'm like, okay, like, not discard, which is nice. I'm going to go ahead and quest, having the questing pressure on board here. And then I do turn the Minnie Mouse sideways as well, finally, because I'm going to bounce it back with the Fox and then ink it. And yeah, just like what I said, like this is why bouncing those 1-drops back can be decent. So now I have an even more powerful crab play potentially. He's going to sing Strength with the Lawrence, ink a Lewis. And I was like, okay, and then play this new card, Gadget, which is a 2-questing 3/2 body that draws him a card if I have more cards in hand, which he only had 1, I had 2. I should know, though, if you're not on discard, you're probably on things like Clarabelle and the Dock package for drawing options. And what's funny is now that I look back at this match, and you can maybe let me know if you agree or disagree, this Emerald Steel deck counters Steel Song and myself, and Ruby Amethyst decks, right? Because obviously as a Ruby Amethyst deck, my goal, especially this damage variation with the Hades, I'm going to draw tons of cards. And if you play a Clarabelle, you're going to draw all the same amount of cards that I can. And this is the difference between a card like Clarabelle and Diablo. I think Clarabelle is a perfectly fine and balanced card. It's really good for its cost, whereas I don't think Diablo is. Even though they kind of do the same thing, right? They're like, well, you have cards in hand, you're drawing cards, and the Clarabelle will draw me cards up until the amount of cards you have. The Diablo is drawing me cards as you draw your cards, right? There's a big difference there, but that's just a stark contrast you can make. So here my friend ends up dropping the Pete, so it's fine. I don't have any actions anyways, and the Mr. Smee, and they're fine on their 1 card left in hand. So again, stupid me not thinking, not seeing this deck before. I'm so, when you've been testing online and you're facing nothing but meta, you're like so ingrained in I'm getting you down to your final cards. What are the options you have left in your hand? I'm not thinking like he could have a dock in his hand or something. But here I'm playing out a potential sequence. I'm like, I'm not necessarily doing this. I'm just thinking this through, obviously revealing to him what I have in hand. But I'm like, yeah, this way I'm able to maintain all of my cards on board. All of my cards now have damage, which is great for the Bell follow-up or a Panic. I forget if it's Panic or Pain. I think it's Panic, right? That one that moves to 2 damage. Or the new spell card. Everybody's got a weakness. So yeah, bounce back the Smee. He's gonna then clean up my board a little bit with the damage, and then yeah, he does have the dock, and I was like, oh shoot. So he redeploys the Smee and the dock, draws another 2. I end on Medusa and Fox, and you can kind of see the tempo swings back and forth here. We are even on the lore count, but then I draw the big boy in the new Hades, and I'm like, oh, now I have to ink the Bell, and it's fine because moving 2 damage here doesn't do anything. That's all I have on my character on the Fox, because all the bodies he has on board are X and 3. I draw into a Friends and a Teeth, which is actually pretty good here. He's gone through all his Deceivers, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use Medusa to trade out into the Pete, and then use the Fox to sing Friends, draw 2, and there is the Panic. It is Panic. And I've already used all my ink to play the Hades, so off of that, I just pass turn. And he's not in top deck mode, right? Because he's got another 3 cards. Here he sees his important piece in the Chromacon and the Lewis. He was on 1 card, sorry. So he drew 2 very good cards. 2 very good cards to counter exactly this Hades right when I played it, in my opinion. Because the Lewis dropping to give the Hades Reckless and then dropping this Chromacon on top of that means that I have to interact with this Lewis. I mean, I could get around it by singing Teeth, but if I banish anything, he's going to be able to bounce anything on the board, including his own dock, back to his hand to get replay value. Obviously, bouncing like my 7-cost Hades here would be very bad for me because I use 7 ink a whole turn to play him. At least he continues to draw cards, but this is the difference, again, guys, between cards that have effects when they're on the play versus cards that you have to wait for them to quest to get the effect off. So here, I think I take a very long time because it's been a long time since I've seen Emerald Chromacon. I mean, I played with a Chromacon deck, and it had some moderate success in previous formats, but obviously, using it now with like this new Lewis and stuff seems to be really, really interesting. And again, you can check out this deck profile on my friend's channel. But obviously, this is I love this. This is how a game of Lorcana should be, and this is what I strive for. Like, imagine if Emerald Steel was like built like this instead of like the discard that everybody's running for Emerald Steel, right? This is interactive gameplay. This is decision making. This is like I have so many different options. What is the right option, right? Am I going to make the right line of play? Right? It's just like it's so much more of a better game state. If you've made it this far in the video, comment below and let me know. Do you like this kind of game where it facilitates some thinking and it's like, I have so many different lines, which one do I go for? So yeah, very, very cool game state here. I'm a huge fan of this looking back at it now. Yeah, just very, very happy. So again, if I banish 2 things, he's going to be able to bounce 2 things. So I have to really make a decision on what's going to happen here. I'm totally, like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, he's going to want to bounce my Hades, right? I'm not even thinking that he could bounce his own dock because he has nothing in hand. So, again, my friend being a good player, he knows. Like, he immediately is like, I'm bouncing my dock. And I'm like, oh, shoot, like, I didn't even think of that, right? Because little did I know, again, not knowing his deck list, he knows his deck list, obviously. I'm guessing he's playing for a Clarabelle. I'm guessing he's like, I just need to redraw enough times off this dock to see Clarabelle, because clearly, your deck is a card advantage engine deck, which is, obviously that's what it is with the Hades, and obviously you see like the Finders Keepers and stuff in my hand. So he bounces his dock, and then I end up dropping the Pain, moving 2 damage to my Hades, and he opts to bounce the Fox. So yeah, I should have quested with the Fox first. It's fine, whatever. It's just 1 lore. Which I say that, but how many games come down to getting the extra lore or 2? So a misplay on my part still. We're going to end up redropping the Fox, which again, in hindsight, is a misplay. I mean, I don't have enough to play the Finders Keepers because I think I inked for turn already. But I should have definitely kept the 2 questing Panic on board, I think, because yeah, I know he has a dock in hand and he's in top deck mode aside from that. So he top decks a gadget, which is pretty good. It's a 2 questing redraw, and then he drops dock for another draw 2. So I draw for turn. I'm going to go ahead and quest right away, put 2 more damage on the Fox, draw another 2 cards, go to 9, so we're equal on the lore. And look at, like, again, guys, like, look at the card advantage I'm generating off of this. It's crazy. And then if you watch my deck profile, I don't know if I made it a member-only video or not. I don't remember which one it was, but basically I talked about how in an online match I drew like 9 cards in 2 turns. I still remember that interaction. It was like Hades into Friends into Finders Keepers, and that's exactly what you see here. I could go for that. I could draw like a ton of cards here if I wanted to. And again, Clarabelle is not even on my radar right now because I'm so like focused on like Emerald Steel. He wants to like discard my hand. I'm outdrawing you, even though clearly he's not on discard. I end up hard casting this Teeth and Ambitions, putting 2 damage on the dock because now I'm like, I don't want you to constantly get this dock engine redraw off. So now that I've seen that you bounced the dock, I'm going to out it by using Teeth and Ambitions and then using the Panic to remove 2 damage from the Hades and eliminating the dock from the board. He does indeed bounce back my Hades this time around, so a big tempo loss for me. But then I'm going to use the Final Teeth and Ambitions to put 2 damage on the Pain and take out the Gretchen. I don't know why I call it Gretchen. The Gadget. And of course, he's now going to be able to decide to bounce something else. I think he was like, did you see 4 Teeth and Ambitions this match? I mean, you've seen 4 Ursula Deceivers, bro. So don't even come at me with that. But I think I did see 4 because I inked 1. But yeah, Teeth and Ambitions, you can see, still doing work here in a deck like this. Obviously very good with moving damage counters and whatnot. But he opts to bounce my Fox here, which is an interesting decision. I would think that he would want to bounce my Panic because it's a 2-questing body. But I end up inking the Fox and then playing out a Minnie Mouse because obviously I'm like, oh, I guess I can just replay this Hades. So he has another dock anyways, and I'm like, oh, of course, like that's not good for me. But he only plays a dock and it's me and passes. I mean, at this point, I could outrace him because I have control of the match. I mean, I did go first, to be fair, from the beginning. But deploying Genie here and playing another Panic and just putting the pressure on and forcing him to have the removal options is what I should have done. But I get lost in the sauce and I'm just like, I'm just going to draw a ton of cards because that's what I want to do. So I'd redeploy this Hades. I draw a double Mim and I'm like, I forgot I played this as my 2-drop. I ink 1 and I think I deploy 1. Yeah. And again, like, what am I going to do with this Mim? Like, challenge and trigger the Chromacons. Again, one of the ways to beat Chromacons pretty easily is just push through questing pressure and put them in positions where you don't really want to bounce cards. Like you make your opponent not want to bounce your cards because like, do you really want to bounce my Genie and have me replay it and draw another card, right? And after I've already quested with the Genie, like that kind of thing. So there's a lot of ways to play around the Chromacon. I was just being stupid here, thinking the whole time like, yeah, I have control of this match. What I was like, I remember what I was thinking in this scenario. I'm on 3 Be Prepared and I haven't seen a single one yet. And I'm like, if I just draw enough cards, eventually I'm going to draw into Be Prepared. I'm going to sing it with this Hades, wipe the board. The Chromacons don't trigger because there's nothing on the board. And then I'm just going to develop a wide board from there. So I just need to draw a ton of cards because I'm going for the Be Prepared line, right? This is where singing with the Hades actually can come up. So we quest, we go to 14 and I'm just like, I'm going to draw this Be Prepared, right? I draw a double 1-drops and I'm like, okay, like whatever. But now I'm thinking maybe I have to start contesting his board. But even in this scenario, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lore on board. Oh, I forgot to also mention, I was also fearing a Tamago, but my friend was saying that he didn't put them in his deck, but he's like, he probably should. Because obviously Tamago would cook me here as well, right? Like Tamago would cook my deck. Like I put damage on my stuff, so Tamago would absolutely, especially if he's bouncing his own Tamago, like that would just be a disaster. So I was playing around the Tamago before, and then I think we were having just a back and forth conversation, and I was like, I have to always worry about this stupid Tamago, and he's like, oh no, I didn't put them in the deck, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. But I think he's on 1 card, and I'm pretty sure he's holding a Clarabelle. And like, look at how many cards I have in my hand. So right now I'm just thinking like, okay, do I need to challenge things down? He could quest up to 18. Again, if he was on a Tamago, he could close the game out with that. But again, he's only on 1 card. I could just quest. I go to 16. I have all of my ink available. I just dump questing pressure on the board and I win the game. What am I doing here, right? Like in hindsight, like what am I trying to do? It's just stupid. And then yeah, I take out 1 thing. He has 2 Chromacons on the board, so he bounces 2 things back, right? So obviously I'm kind of playing stupid here, but it's fine, I guess. 10 ink available. Do I end up dropping the Maui here? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here, guys. I could have easily just, yeah, quested and dealt with this. I take out the dock. Again, totally like not aware of Clarabelle potentially coming down. And then I'm like, are you going to bounce my Maui? He opts to, and then he says he's not going to bounce any of his own stuff. I drop a Genie here for 2 questing pressure on board, and then I drop it Olaf, and I pass turn. So he can quest up to 15. Oh, I ink and I play a Minnie Mouse too. So I still develop a board while taking out some of his. So I guess it's not like completely all that bad, but like clearly I had a line of play where I could have just pressured the opponent and won the game. So yeah, not doing that is stupid on my part, but we're having fun here, right? I want to draw my cards, and then I see the Clarabelle, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. So yeah, he plays Clarabelle, inks the Lewis, and then draws like 7 cards or 6 cards or something. It's pretty good. So again, I'm on 14. I'm not on goats too, because my friend was like, when he told me he wasn't on Tamago, and he's like, I have to worry about goats, and I'm like, I'm not on goats, so don't worry about that. Again, getting lost in the sauce, just drawing cards because I'm stupid. I like to draw cards. What can I say, guys? Like, it's caveman brain. I don't know. Okay. Oh, there we go. I do quest with everything. Go to 18 and then just put them on. You need the answer. I finally draw my everything. Everybody's got a weakness, but I can't use it. And even if I did use it, I'd lose tempo. I do deploy the Medusa, slow the opponent down by bouncing back the Mr. Smee, so that does not trigger the Chromacons because it does not banish the Smee. It bounces it back to hand. I can deploy the Everybody's Got a Weakness if I ink and take out the gadget, but he can only quest up to 19 with the Clarabelle and the gadget, so it's fine. He does have a ton of cards in his hand though, so he definitely could have the answers to my board, but I'm like, you would need to draw so many Steel Songs to make this work. I dropped the Panic and opt not to move any damage counters, and then just pass turn. So he has to answer all of my threats on the board here, because I guess he could leave up the Medusa because it only quests for 1, but he has to answer. If he leaves up the Medusa, he has to answer the other 2 1 quester, 1 drops, as well as my readied up Panic and my evasive Genie, which that's a tall order even with the 7 cards in his hand. He does have what looks to be like 11 or 12 ink as well, so he definitely has enough cards. Oh, he has 9 ink. Wait, oh yeah, he only has 9 ink. But you can see how much this Clarabelle just like went to work on me here, which is kind of wild. He inks a Pete, which again at this point doesn't matter. I'm not on Pirate's Life, I don't think, in this deck either, but that could have been another potential way for me to easily win the game. And I think he was thinking about what could he have drawn here. He draws the kit, which is pretty good, and I think he's like, I needed to see another Lewis, but or another kit, but he's actually inked his other 3 kits. And neither of us knew this until the end of the match. I don't know if I included it in this clip, but he ends up flipping over all his ink to see what his outs were. And he's like, I think he was saying like off this gadget, he needs to draw the Lewis or the kit in order to survive this turn. But he's like, no, I just don't have it. I can't. He's got the 3rd Chromacon though. And I was like, wow, dude, that's crazy. And he's like, yeah, I could take out that stuff, but I can't take out the Genie or the Medusa. And that's just going to be a wrap. So he shows me what he has in his hand, and I showed him like, yeah, I had so much follow through play. It's crazy. And and I was like, that's what I was playing for, the Be Prepared. Cause he was like, I don't think you're on Be Prepared. And I'm like, and I didn't say anything. And I was like, no, I am at the end here. I'm like, you can see there. Yeah. And there's my second one, and I play 3, and there's his Lewis. That's what he needed. I guess I did include it. And then I think he flips over his ink. Because, yeah, I guess we were both, like, running out of cards. There's Lewis, there's Kit, there's another Kit, and there's a 3rd Kit, all in the inkwell. So, pretty fun matchup. Let me know if you made it this far in the video and what you think. And, again, make sure you check out R-Race's channel. Really good dude, amazing player, good deck builder. And, I mean, we literally went through our whole decks there. But, I mean, if you want to see the deck profile, make sure you check it out. Thank you again for watching. If you made it this far, Quantum is out.